Hi, Clint Coons here with Anderson Business Advisors, and in this video we're going to discuss selling property held in the name of a land trust. Okay, if you've set up a land trust and you have property that's titled in the name of that trust, the first thing you need to look at is who is the trustee of that trust. A lot of you that are working with me and my firm to create your land trust may have me on your trust as a trustee, or if you're not using us, you're using someone else, and you've got what we refer to as a nominee trustee. And you did this for anonymity purposes. Now, that works great when you're trying to keep your information private, but it'll work against you when you're going out there and trying to sell your property. Because what occurs is that when you try to sell the property, the title company is going to look to the listed trustee on that trust that appears on title as the individual who will represent the trust and must sign on behalf of that trust. So as you can imagine, if you're using, say, Clint as your nominee trustee, and I've already resigned, technically I'm no longer the trustee, and if you gave your resignation to the title company, they'll just ignore it. Now I can tell you this is from firsthand knowledge. I just actually sold a property in Hawaii that I own there, that I put inside of a land trust, and I used a nominee trustee. I mean, everything that you watch in my videos are the same strategies for the most part that I use in my own investing. And what I elected to do was try to sell the property using my resignation, or the trustee's resignation. So I turned over to the title company a copy of my nominee's trustee's resignation appointing Clint as the trustee of the trust. Now, they received that document, but they wouldn't respect it. They said, well, we know we see there's a resignation here, but we won't, only thing we're going to look at is what's on title, and your nominee trustee still shows up on title. So then I told them, I said, well, have you read my trust document? Because if you notice in the trust document itself, it states that the trustee is not authorized to do anything when it comes to selling the property. It's actually the beneficiary. So I can sign on behalf of the trust as its beneficiary. Again, title came back and they said, nope, we're only going to deal with the trustee. And if your nominee trustee is listed on title, then that is the person that has to sign. But since you told us that the nominee trustee has resigned, then in order for us to close, we have to put you on title as the acting trustee of this trust. So what I discovered, and this is something that I've always told people, and it's an issue that I've seen with other individuals who have tried to engage in selling property out of a trust where the nominee trustee has resigned, title will have a fit over this. So what do you need to do then? If you've set up a land trust and you have a nominee trustee that has resigned and you are the trustee, then you need to update title prior to selling the property. I'd update it prior to listing the property for sale to have yourself listed as a trustee. Or if you want, you could appoint an LLC that you set up to be your trustee just for closing purposes. So let me just show you how that works. So if we originally set up this trust here and it had a nominee trustee, I'll just call this NN for nominee trustee. The nominee trustee, say, was Clint. And then I resigned and I appointed, let's say the individual here is Fred. Fred is the one who actually set up Fred as trustee. So I did this after I created the trust. So as soon as the trust was set up and the property was deeded into it, I resigned my position. And then Fred came on because he's the beneficiary, it's his trust. He became the acting trustee, but this was not updated with the county recorder because we were desiring anonymity. But now we're trying to sell it. So when I resigned, and this is something you want to make sure that you always obtain from the resigning trustee, you want to get what's referred to as a trustee's deed. A trustee's deed. And what is that? A trustee's deed is a recordable document showing a change in trusteeship from your nominee trustee, Clint, down here to Fred as the, what I've always called the successor trustee. So when you have this trustee's deed, you keep it in your records. Okay? You don't do anything with it. You keep it in your records until you're ready to do something with the property, such as sell the property or refinance the property. Then you'll go down and you'll record this deed and you'll put your information on now as a trustee so you can move forward with that transaction. Otherwise, it could gum up the works. You want to do this ahead of time Because let's say what happened is you entered into a purchase and sale agreement. Now we're past our due diligence period. The buyer's ready to close in 15 days. Title company comes back and says, oh, we got a problem. Where's Clint? Well, Clint's not the one that's going to sign on it. I am. He resigned. That's going to require you to ask for an extension so you can get that trustee's deed recorded to put your name up there. That's the first problem. Second problem is, in my experience in working with a lot of title companies, they just don't understand business entities. And now you've just thrown a curveball at them, and their entire legal department and whoever else that's working there, the officer that works for the title company, they're going to go into meltdown mode. So we want to make it nice, simple, and neat for them. So what you'll want to do is record that trustee's deed appointing yourself. Now, another thing is, if you don't want someone to know that you're selling this property, you want to maintain that anonymity shield. Look at this. I resigned and I appointed Fred as the trustee. Well, Fred's the acting trustee now, so there's nothing to stop Fred from appointing someone else and resigning, because he has that power and he's the beneficiary of this trust. So the beneficiaries can elect someone new. So what Fred could do is set up a Wyoming LLC down here that gives him anonymity, or it could be Delaware. And then what Fred will do is resign himself and appoint the Wyoming LLC as the trustee. And again, you'll have to do a trustee's deed. So what would happen in this instance, then the deed that gets recorded would show the Wyoming Limited Liability Company as the acting trustee of the trust. So you maintain the anonymity. Now here's one thing you would have to keep in mind, that if you went through this process like this deed from here to here was from Clint to Fred. And if you want to avoid having your Fred's name show up when you record that deed, you'll actually have to reappoint Clint as the trustee. So Fred would resign, reappoint Clint as the trustee. Clint would then need to resign, issue a new trustee deed to the Wyoming Limited Liability Company. Maybe even simpler just to set it up at the outset with the land trust itself, have the LLC as the successor trustee of the trust. So when Clint resigns, he nominates the Wyoming LLC as the successor trustee in the document. So those are ways in which you can do this in order to keep your name off title when you're selling property. The key here, though, is that understanding title companies, you got to keep it in a nice, simple package for them. Don't give them too much information, because the more information you provide them, the more likely it is that you're going to mess them up. One other thing I do want to leave you with. Your title company is going to ask for a copy of your trust agreement. If you assign the interest to an LLC, I wouldn't provide them with the assignment. I would just send them a copy of the trust agreement, which shows your name as the beneficiary. Because again, they're going to get the assignment, they're going to give it to the legal, and the legal's not going to understand the land trust. And again, they're going to come back on you and they're going to blow up this closing. It's going to take an extra 30 days to close as you walk them through, or as I like to refer to it, educate them on the purposes of this trust. My name is Clint Coons with Anderson Business Advisors, and in this video, we discussed how to sell property held in a land trust.